for letting me join you this morning. And we will keep this brief. I know you have lunch plans to get to. But just to give you a quick word on the Requiem or Renaissance program. This is an initiative of the whole diocese, and I'm driving the train on it. It is for 18 congregations in our diocese, 2 cohorts of 9 churches each. And you all are in cohort 2, I believe. Is that right? Okay. And this is basically a gathering of fellowship and equipping. It is a discernment and skills building program for all congregations in the diocese who are receiving financial aid and anybody else who wants to come along for the ride. And the idea behind this is the diocese has, over the years, given financial aid to congregations but not given them the real support they deserve in living out their mission and ministry. And so the idea is for all of us to come together and discern, where is God calling us to Requiem? Where is God calling us to holy endings? What about our life together do we want to let die and go to rest? And where is God calling us to Renaissance? Where is God calling us to innovation, new beginnings, exciting initiatives in ministry? So every congregation that's participating will have some elements of Requiem and some elements of Renaissance. They will discern what God is asking them to do, decide what to let go of, and decide what to double down on, so to speak. Some congregations I know of one already who's already told me this, which is fine, will discern a very comprehensive Requiem. They are tired and they don't want to do ministry the way they have been doing it anymore, and they will close their doors, and that is okay. And there will be a lot more congregations that will discern. The bulk of their discernment will lead toward Renaissance. I see a lot of Renaissance already happening at St. Paul's. And giving you the skills, the tools, the finances to do what God is calling you to do in the most robust way possible. So that's one part of it. The other part of it is the Episcopal Church has for a long time shied away from conversations about decline. Right? Every year the money's a little tighter, every year the membership's a little lower, and we're scared of that, so we don't want to talk about it. And Requiem or Renaissance is designed to get us over the hump of being scared talking about it and asking, what might God be doing with us in the midst of these trends in our society around decline of church-going and decline in the Episcopal Church? Where is the holiness? Where is the call? Where is the vocation of being the faithful remnant, the mustard seed, the treasure hidden in the field, the pinch of leaven in the dough? It is actually small gatherings of committed people who tend to do the most transformative work in the church and in the Gospels, and St. Paul's is living proof of that. So that's the basic outline. The program is 18 months long. We gather in a team from each congregation, quarterly, once every 3 months. So there's a total of 6 meetings. 2 of those are big gatherings where all the churches come together. The other 4 are you gather here at your church, and a shepherd, a coach, comes to you to work with you through this material. And so we have a team of probably 10 shepherds, of folks from around the diocese who act as coaches and prayer partners. And Pastor Sally Weaver is the chaplain for the whole program. So she's providing us with prayer and guidance and support in that regard. So that's the basics. Tell me what doesn't make sense. Tell me what questions I can answer and how I can help. Yes, please, go ahead. Some of them may. A core tenet of this program is self-determination. There are no preordained outcomes. The bishop, nor I, nor anybody of the diocese is going to tell anybody what to do. You get to decide. The idea is to support you in making those decisions. So about 70% of the way through the program, you'll go on a retreat to refine your discernment of what God is calling you to next. And then you'll share that with the bishop. You'll say to the bishop, this is what we think God is calling us to do. And then he will ask you to refine that a little bit, or he'll say, yes, I'm with you, that makes sense. I have X, Y, and Z tools that I can give you to do that, and then you go forward from there. So nobody will be prevented from doing anything unless you want to, set up a McDonald's or something, right? He might have a word to say about that. But basically the doors are wide open. Be as creative as you want. And don't be afraid of the elements of Requiem, right? I believe that we will have greater power to do ministry with more impact if we set aside some of the old ways of doing things that are just making us tired. And an important one of that is measuring the vitality of a church by average Sunday attendance and plate and pledge income. Those are deeply capitalist metrics that don't have a whole lot to say about the spiritual vitality of a gathering of people. So, does that help? Does that make sense? Okay, good. Other questions?
If you've got a question, I've got a mic. So
even better.
Live stream people can hear you.
Excellent,
So
thank
just
you.
raise your hand and I'll bring it to you.
Okay. Was I that clear? No, okay, go ahead.
Will the retreat process partway through include just the committee from that church, or will it
Anything
be
you want.
inclusive? Okay.
I think particularly for a church your all size, it would be feasible and a great idea to do that as a parish retreat. But again, there's very little about this program that is me or anyone at the diocese telling you what to do. So, there could be any number of models for that. It could be a team retreat and then a vestry retreat and a parish retreat. It could be all of those together. It could be lots of little small group retreats. It's whatever the rhythm is that works best for your congregation. Okay, anything else? Yes, please, go ahead.
Are there any goals that the diocese has as far as, I guess, anything? I realize that's an incredibly vague question.
No, I hear what you're saying. Yeah. Really, the only goal is to give a little prod and a push into that place of self-determination. What happens with a lot of smaller churches, struggling churches that are dealing with financial hardship, things of that nature, they tend to just kind of drift over time. And the idea is to interrupt that drift so that congregations who have real ingredients of vitality have the chance to make that blossom, and they don't get into a point of desperation and precarity and knowing that if the boiler blows up, we have to close the doors, right? The idea is to interrupt that process at some of the churches that it's happening at and give folks not only the tools, but also the fellowship, because when you're in a small church, when you're in a struggling church, when you're in a church that experiences financial hardship, it can be very isolating. You can feel like you're all alone and you're out here and there's something wrong and we don't know how to fix it. This conversation is happening in pretty much all churches. The elements of decline that exist in our society around church are very real for every church. So that's another important point. My goal for the congregations in this program is for them to take leadership in this diocese. Because churches like yours that are smaller are on the front lines of this conversation, of reinventing yourselves, of living into new ways of vitality that don't match our old images of what it meant to be successful as a church. I believe that every congregation in the Episcopal Church needs to have the Requiem or Renaissance conversation. Some of them have enough money to put it off for 10 years. And so the congregations who don't, who are on the cutting edge of where the Episcopal Church is going, I need you all to show that leadership to the rest of the diocese. Say, this is how it's done. This is how vitality is built among a small, dedicated group of people. Does that make sense? So no, there are no numerical goals. There are no, aside from like canonical stuff like file the right documents that you have to file every year, stuff like that. But no, it's very much wide open. It's like, we don't care what you do, just do something. Something that you feel led to do, something that we can come alongside you and support you in doing. Anything but drift. Anything but drift. Does that help? Okay, good. Deacon Barbie, go ahead.
Ken Whitney, this might be an unfair question to ask you.
I'm excited. Bring it on.
And I'm asking for your opinion. It's not written in stone.
Yeah.
Where do you see St. Paul's on this cutting edge? Where do you see us?
I definitely see you on the cutting edge. I do not see you as a congregation that will be predominantly Requiem. I don't see your doors closing. I don't see this congregation has too much going for it, has too much excitement, has too much real love in these pews to be anywhere close to. And I don't want to demonize the congregations who are led to Requiem. A holy ending is a godly thing. I don't see that here. I see vitality. I see great potential. I see doors of ministry opening up left, right, and center. So my goal for St. Paul's in this program would be for you to articulate to me and the bishop, this is what we need to take the next steps that we're identifying we want to take. Because we can't be of best service to you unless we know what you want to do and what you need to get it done. So that's my sense of what St. Paul's will be up to in this program, but it's not written in stone. Does that help? Okay,
Yes,
good,
thank you.
good.
So, what happens to those parishes that their doors do close?
Yep.
So, what happens to? I guess I'm interested. What happens to that real estate?
Yeah, okay. So any congregation that discerns sort of a holistic requiem, but we're not gonna do ministry in this way in this place with these people as this church. It's a requiem of, St. Pius's congregation or whatever. They will be, I want to say required is too strong a word, strongly encouraged to seed another ministry. Whatever resources they have, if they have a little baby endowment, if they have $5,000 in the bank, if they have pews and hymnals in a building, whatever it is that they have, they will be encouraged to discern some other ministry in their area that is being born, and to give the gifts that they have, because they are many. I don't care if you're down to 5 on a Sunday, you have gifts. What are the gifts that you have that you're going to give to that baby ministry being born and seed the next generation of God's work in that place? Now, the buildings are a little trickier, and I'm not particularly qualified to speak to that because, the congregations hold buildings in trust for the diocese. So no congregation can just haul off and sell a building, right? That would be a larger conversation with the bishop and whatever happens there. And I don't know what he wants to do. I'm sure it'll be a case-by-case basis, but the broad goal for any congregation that's discerning a fairly comprehensive requiem would be to seed another ministry, to give of themselves to whoever is driving the train on something new. And I have a hunch that a lot of those folks who discern a full requiem will feed into whatever that new ministry is. And that they will, when they don't feel like they have to lead, when they don't feel like they have to keep the train running, when they can step in and just be supporters and followers and rest in that role of ministry, I have a feeling they may join whatever they seed. Or not, I don't know. That's my hunch. So, does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, good. What else? Okay, thanks for letting me have a few minutes of your time to kind of give you a little bit of an overview for this. And, I'm around if it would be helpful for me to join any of the team meetings, if it would be helpful for me to come to a vestry meeting or come back and visit with y'all again as a congregation. That's my job. I'm here for it, so count me in, and don't be afraid to ask. So, okay, thanks everybody.